Ah, yes, thank you, and it's welcome to TCT Radio. Once again, you're with Santos Bonacci. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you. Sorry about being late with one short, sweet little technical problem, and hope one and all are in good health and enjoyed the equinoctial crossing of the sun. We are now on the other side of the equinox and the crossing, the day of equilibrium. So lots of powerful stuff in store for us. That means now we are 9 months away from the famous 21st of December 2012 date. 9-month countdown now. So let's look forward to that. And today I'm going to be having a chat in the background with the background producer, Kat. How are you, Kat?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm producing away here, as people can see, very professionally. Yeah, right, okay. Not very domesticated at all, actually, but it's an honour to be on the show, as ever, with you. Oh, wonderful, Santos. And
Thanks,
we are in the Aries period now, correct? My other half, Paul, is an Aries. So as you can appreciate, I appreciate what it's like to be with an Aries, who their feet seems to be where their head is, and their head where their feet is, and they never know when to walk slowly, even if they've got a bad leg, or it's don't worry about the car, darling. I'll run up the road, So are we possibly in this period again, Santo?
Yeah, we are. That's the short answer.
Yes, I've seen signs of that. Yes. So, and does
if I give you the long answer?
And does this continue for life? I mean, do you think you will always be running even when your legs don't want to?
There'll be something running. There'll always be something running with Arians. They're like a ram charging forward.
Never, really. And were you as a child and wherever told about half measures and taking it easy, or did your Aries education leave that part out? All or nothing?
Always. My mother and father and my grandfather in particular, and many people in my life would say to me, "Slow down, you'll burn out." You'll burn out. And they're always saying, you're always on the run. You're always doing something, And my mother would say, I know when you're coming, when it's you, coming home, because no one drives as fast as you do. No one. And she used to call me Jehu. Do you know who Jehu is?
No.
Right. Well, Jehu is this king of Israel. And he was the one that killed Jezebel. Remember the wicked queen,
right,
Jezebel?
Yeah. I thought you were on about a cartoon character or something there. I was like, no. Like Speedy Gonzales.
Well, they are cartoon characters.
Yeah.
They are. They were not real characters.
No, yeah. So no wonder it came to mind, yeah.
Yeah. Jezebel, Jehu, it's all the sun and the moon and all the same story, as I've been showing. It's all the same story. It's all the principles and aspects of nature. Anyway, Jehu rocks up and they knew, someone said, oh, this is Jehu approaching, you see, with his chariot and horses. And the other guy said, how do you know? He says, because no one rides as fast as Jehu. He rides like, the angels. He apparently had this chariot and he was fast. And so my mum used to call me Jehu.
Yeah, because I can just imagine you as the other character with the wings on his heels, just in case. You know what I mean? Because they've actually made, I think, like a bird suit now, human wings. I was looking at something the other day about this guy and his human wings, and I'm thinking maybe we need to get Aryans some of those because I think they do you well. Yeah, yeah. You might kind of learn the balance then, if you get what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
do you find that fascinating, actually, that man now has made himself fake wings?
Yeah, yeah,
And I
it's
don't
it's
mean an
interesting, isn't it?
aeroplane. Yeah, I mean it's
Mm,
kind of like a suit, it's like two, if you like, kites either side. But it's phenomenal, actually, a phenomenal thing to watch, to be honest. He did a
yeah.
bit of running, bit of flapping, and he was soaring like a bird, which to me was fascinating, because you were always told, I'm sure, as I were, that man can't fly. That's just stupid. Well, this one did. So, with that, I think the miracle came for me as well, that all of those things that you were always told you couldn't do, once you start to use your imagination, and as we were talking about the head of Aries there, and the head of the ram, I guess, and all of the rest of it, because it's a very prominent, I think, symbol to some people, is the ram and the ram's head and its horns and all the rest of it. And we won't go into the butting heads with people either, will we, Santo? Because I have no doubt you take on that shape and form at times too, if it's needed.
Oh
But
yeah, oh yeah.
but in a polite way, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, it kind of gave me that if we really put our mind to this, whatever it might be, and we have the right heart and the right mind state, that we really can achieve what we want to and manifest it, if it's reasonable. Does that make sense? If it's reasonable.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we're doing all the time. We're constantly producing what we co-create in our lives. We're constantly getting back what we are producing. This is what people don't understand. If we continue to have similar experiences, that's because we're continuing to perpetuate the same co-creative patterns, you see. So this is why knowledge is so important. As we grow in knowledge and awareness and consciousness, we affect better changes in our lives, you see, and then we are able to attract different energies to our life. This is why a lot of people get caught up with prosperity consciousness, and they tell you to think positively and project forward and think about a Ferrari, and in 3 months' time you'll have a Ferrari, you'll manifest it and everything like that. Well, yes, we do have that kind of power, but the thing is, do you do you really want more material junk, and is that the kind of wealth you're looking after, or is it insight and wisdom and divinity and all of those? For me, I mean, there's nothing more sought after and prized and coveted than wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and being, to allow myself to be, just to be, as a divine, sovereign entity with all my dominion intact and no interference to that. And I will not interfere with anybody else's. That's more important than anything. And then, of course, if you're living in that state, it doesn't matter whether you're driving a Ferrari or a Volkswagen, or a Mini Miner. As long as you are happy, because there is nothing outside of you that will make you happy if you are not happy.
That's it.
Yeah.
You cannot be happy where you are until you're happy where you are. It really is that simple. And for me, intellectual growth is really what it's all about. But, it's quite funny, isn't it, Santo? I mean, you've obviously come up against these people who say, right, okay, so you think you know everything, and we sit there and we go, actually, I don't think I know anything. There's so much more to learn. My gosh, right. Well, if you know everything, well, no, actually, I don't. No, but you think you do. You sound like you think you do. You get these people, and they. So what's the purpose of life then, Kat? And one day I really got fed up with people asking me that. Fed up in kind of a way. Maybe it is time I gave my answer. Instead of just letting them waffle on. And one day I said, well, the purpose of life is intellectual growth. And they just looked at me, and I said, and intellectual growth can only be had or grow via experiences, and
Hmm.
that's the purpose of life. It's not a number. I mean, it can be brought down to a number, but we're talking frequencies that cannot ever really be mathematically put back on a piece of paper. They might think that they've just about got everything, but to say that you can get every feeling that goes within an experience from one, and mathematically form it and scientifically form it, I think they would be missing quite a bit. And I think that's what makes living beings so special, be you a tree or, you know, a wolf or whatever, you know, that the feeling that we have. And I think people need to start to feel again, because I know everybody goes on about dumbed down. I've said it myself. There's a great book by Charlotte Iserby, I think her name is, and you know, it's the dumbing down of America. Tells you all sorts of things in there. Read the book. You know, it should probably tell you more than I can. But for me, it's time to stop trying to find the words, because we have the words. We just now have to know how to put them across in a gentle way, with that lovely, graceful, gentle energy. Because I don't know about you today, Santa, it could be something to do with the Aries period coming in. But I feel that there's a lot of frustration about, and a lot of anger about, possibly. Have you found that, and do you think it is something to do with the period that we're going into, the changeover type of period?
Yeah, it is. It is. We're going to have friction for a long time now. You know, I mean, friction in terms of we everyone is going to take advantage from this change, even the ones that are sleeping, because when they see the big changes coming, they might not be ready, but they will see it with their own eyes, and it will serve as a great, great lesson in the future when their time does come. And believe you me, you and I have seen trauma and cataclysm in our past lives. We've seen it.
Absolutely.
We've all, yeah. And this is why now you know, we've been, you know, we've been evolved, you could say, enlightened. We've been down the experience treadmill. We've got a lot more experience. We've got a lot more that we've remembered. We're bringing a lot more to the table, hopefully, and hopefully we're bringing enough to be able to cut the grade, to be able to you know, break the cycle, because that's what it's all about. Human incarnation continues until we are able to graduate from it. You know, the soul's transmigration story is a long one. And this is what all the Gospels and mythologies are dealing with. Basically, they're just dealing with that. You know, when you read the Bhagavad Gita and you're reading about the sons of, the five sons of, what's his name again? I forget now, Panu or whatever. But you've got Arjuna, who is the... Arjuna is the divine mind. Then you've got the desire aspect. Another one of the brothers, you know, you've got the five good brothers, and then you've got the bad brothers. These are all your aspects. These are all your vices and virtues, you know. And when you hear about Jesus and Judas Iscariot and Peter and all of these apostles and all of these characters, these are all just players. They're all just aspects of you. They're all aspects of you. All of us have Arjuna, the divine mind, in us. All of us have, you know, the desire body that tricks us and says, oh, you need this. And then we go out and get it. We spend all our money getting it. And then once we've got it, we think, oh no, this is awful. I don't want this. I didn't need this. I thought I wanted it. I thought I needed it, and I bought it, spent a lot of money. Now I'm broke, and I don't like this thing that I just bought. And so the desire mind just does that to us quite a lot. We buy junk and things, and we get trapped into, you know, signing up to things that turn out to be detrimental for us and everything. That's the desire mind. It always tricks us, you see. And that's us. These are all our enemies that are within that we have to conquer. These are the Gentiles that we have to preach to convert them. You don't physically go preaching door to door like the Jehovah's Witnesses do.
Yeah.
The go forth and preach the kingdom means preach it in your own body. Go down into Sodom, which is the lower chakras, and teach them to repent. In other words, teach them how to improve in your life. Teach them that you don't have to respond to, you know, antagonism by other people who provoke you with anger and retaliation.
The lower energy forms.
Yeah, you've got to preach to those Gentiles and convert them and teach them, hey, don't respond to anger.
It's for me, it's about love and compassion. So no matter who the one is that somebody might be talking about at the time, let's pick on Obama, because he's quite a popular guy at the moment, isn't he, for talks of all kinds. But many people would look at Obama with absolute hate, and to me it's a very low energy form, because I wonder if they actually hate the man or whatever he is, or do they hate what he's done and what he's been involved in. And I think this is where people really have to start looking at their own mind state. I mean, I say this often, people, I know I do, but your mind state is so important because, for instance, you're talking to people, how are you? Oh, it's hell. My life is hell. Everything's hell. Sorry for giggling, but we've all spoken to them, right? Well, surely that's because that's the way you choose to perceive it. My life isn't hell, and I try to, how are you? I'm living in hell or whatever. Oh, I'm living in my skin. So I'm doing my best there, really, is how it is. And it boils back down to intellectual growth, as people are saying in the chat, purpose. The purpose of life is a life with a purpose, with a question mark. Good question, Sam. But per pose, I suppose, for each pose you do. But for me, a pose is just one little action. I suppose if you put lots of them together, that's what life's about, movement, yeah. And because I don't know about you, Santo, but I'm not a fan of death. No, Kat, not many of us aren't. But the word death, I don't believe that if something, well, I don't want to lie with the Eve with the lie, but or be the lie. But when somebody says, "Oh, they're dead," or "That's dead," or "They're dying," I find it very difficult to believe that anything that was alive can actually die, because I feel that you would have a very, very hard job in killing force, because I think quantum physics would say that if you tried to kill force, you're using force, and all that's going to do is create more force. So I think people's perspectives are maybe very different to mine, if I make sense.
Yeah, well, look, death is life. In fact, we are more dead than alive right now. That's how the Neoplatonist and the Hermetist described it. This baptism, everywhere we go in a different shape or form, we get baptized. Now, this baptism in the Gospels, again, I'm always going back to these mythologies in the Bible included. I'm drawing from all of them because they're all the same story in different languages, you see. Now, this baptism of the body, it's called the baptism of death, because the lowest place where life dwells is in the molecule, you see. There's from the photon down to the molecule, you've got photon, then particle, then atom, then molecule, right, in the Hermetic science or in the occult science. So bodies are molecules, and that's the lowest place of life. Life is higher in its what we call invisible form. You see, there are invisible entities out there by the gazillions, and their life, their light bodies, vibrate at a much higher plane. See, this one is, so the one we've been given, the body that we've inherited, which is a marvel and miracle of creation. It's absolutely exquisite. In fact, Leonardo da Vinci said that the workings of the human body are an analogy for the workings of the heavens. And Protagoras, of course, the famous quote, "Man is the measure of the universe." So Da Vinci was looking into the body, dissecting corpses rather, corpses, etc.
See, this is
He
a
was
speed
doing,
thing, isn't it?
yeah,
You're moving too fast for you again.
yeah, and he was doing that for science because he was looking to understand the universe. That's what he was doing. They were all doing that because they knew that we are a model. We're a small holographic model of what's going on above, you see, and it goes downward to infinity in a microcosmic scale, fractally, and it goes upward forever like a galaxy. So when astronomers are observing galaxy systems, what they're doing is they're actually looking at the cells and the molecules of the body of the universe. Because as the ancient scientists said, when you look up to the stars, you're looking at the cells and the bones and the body and the structure of the God, which is the universe. That's what God is to them. And so, so this baptism, the next baptism you have, there are 4 baptisms, right? When you have physical incarnation. And they are earth, water, air, and fire. And that's basically the 4 elements. Solid stuff, liquid stuff, gaseous stuff, and light. Now, since we already know that we are light bodies and we emanate from light and photons, well, then that's where we've got to go back. So how do you get those other baptisms? Well, you have a baptism of water. It's not going down to the Jordan River and dipping your head in water. That's not what you do. It's not physical water. It's the water of the higher consciousness. When you get baptized with the higher consciousness, that's your baptism with water. And then when you get baptized with air, air is another word for spirit. That's what the Bible talks about, the baptism of spirit. And then when you get baptism with fire, the mystical baptism, that's when you get another higher consciousness baptism again, and then all of a sudden a little flame appears on your head and you've been baptized like the 120 on the day of Pentecost in the book of Acts. And fire they were speaking in tongues, and little tongues of fire were standing above, erect, like pillars of fire above their heads. And that's the baptism of fire, which means your pineal gland and your crown chakra has been burst wide open, and now you are a son of God, an S-U-N. You are stardust, you see, and all of these baptisms return you back to your original condition of unconditioned consciousness. Now, what do you think of that, Kat?
Well, I think it's absolutely correct, obviously, and I think there isn't really anybody that could argue with it, because when we do look at books such as the Bible and what have you, they have always stated in ways for you to look at yourself, to live the word, as it were, to be the word. And to me, the word is frequency. Obviously, everybody knows what I think about words. It's sound. It's frequency.
It is.
So these words that are so special, sacred to so many, I think are being misinterpreted in many ways. But, you know, there we have the people, you know, some people want to be in the world of commerce and some people want to be in their own world. So, you know, we kind of leave each to their own, because all is as it should be, is the way I look at it. But for sure, yeah, that's what we're about. These things are possibly most of the time not literal, and you must use your imagination to begin to see truth and to begin to see without eyes, which most people can't kind of get to grips with. And this is what I say when they say that Jesus performed miracles. Well, people like us are doing it more or less every day, where we are helping the blind to see. Not people that are literally blind and they can't see out of their eyes, but they're blind in many other ways. People that are deaf, we give words and they can hear us finally they can hear us, even though they were deaf. So we made the deaf hear, and the mute, we are now able to help people to speak truly and freely, whereas they, were maybe afraid before, or they weren't using their words properly. They were just under a veil of legalese, and that was it. Yes, I understand, and they didn't even understand what understand meant. You can get into all of those crazy things. And then you have the other part where to stand on your own 2 feet. Jesus, as it were, made somebody get up and walk, took his mat, which was a very significant thing, because this said, look, if you want to do something on a Sunday, even if it looks like work, you do it, because you have the free will to do that. And, show your own spirit. So the man picked his mat up, and he stood up and he walked. But I feel that is definitely where we are enabling people to stand on their own 2 feet via education, enlightenment, entertainment somewhat. But being able to stand on your own 2 feet because you feel strong now, and you can work with truth. And once you have that truth, you are strong. So if people did see the truth that was written in these books, we would be living in a much different state, I feel. But that's my feeling. And yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yep. All right, well, we've got our friend Mark Hollywood, and I suppose he can join us. Can we add him to the call? Are you there, Mark?
I am, Santo. How you doing?
Woohoo! How are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, great. And you guys are on daylight savings now, are you?
We sure are. Snow time savings.
Yeah. Rightio.
Yeah.
So, there you go. I thought so.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you guys know each other, Kate. We've talked before when Kate of Gaia was with us about 3 weeks ago before the jail incident.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the 4 of us. Remember that?
Oh, I sure do. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Me and our friend are friends, definitely, and it's lovely to meet you again.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. You too.
Yep, and Mark's going to share with us some of his brilliant knowledge on dominion and, shall we call it sovereignty, Mark? What do you want to call it? Because sovereignty is still tinged with a bit of slavery, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Santo, and that's the problem. That sovereign, so we reign title, if you add another V to the V, so we reign, and that's a government term for top elected officials, is what that is, and that makes them sovereign. So people running around, unless they're a high-ranking member of a government, is preposterous to call yourself sovereign.
Well, it's the highest form of slave, isn't it?
No, not necessarily, Kat. The problem I have, and I have had for a while, is I'm watching all these people run around and they're calling themselves this, they're calling themselves that, and to label yourself simply is to negate yourself. So that's my biggest problem with that. You are you, you are that you are, I am that I am, we are that we are, you are you, straightforward and simple, eh? People got to give up these titles. That's just a ticket to slavery and jail.
Mm.
But people spend so much money on labels and brands and titles. Are you sure they're ever going to want to give them up, Hollywood?
You know what, Kat? Consume, cons, you, me, or C-O-N-S, or C-O-N-S-U-E, me. Consume me, or cons, you, me. People just have to get out of that consumerism game. Get out of the game, stop supporting, I don't know, Walmart, and giddy up is what I say, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity. Sorry, Santo?
No, you go. I'm enjoying this. I love the way you pull words together, my brother. I love the way you've been thinking about these words. Oh, it's just magic. Go ahead.
Well, that's just it. And, something too, guys, and I should probably touch upon this because I can't seem to touch upon it enough, and it goes like this. If what I'd like you to do, just for a joke, and I'm not suggesting to any of your home listeners to just go trying this and doing this stuff, but basically, if you guys grab a piece of paper right now, okay, grab a pen, a piece of paper, and I want you guys to write on it that this is worth $100 and sign your name to it. Now, basically what's going to happen is, now that you've wrote this piece of paper is now worth $100 and you've signed your name to it, I want you guys to take that piece of paper to a notary, public, and that notary is going to notarize that, not commission it for oaths, but notarize that, and that thus becomes a public security. A security means that it's money. Money is a bank note, a bank draft, and that's what that is. You're drafting it up, hence it becomes a note. Now that you've taken that piece of paper to a notary public, he's notarized it, it became a security, you take that down to the Governor General's office, and it's called an apostille. And you get that apostille, and then you get all these other copies made as well, certified copies, and you get them apostilled as well. And should anybody ever have any problems in court, that is what you represent in court, because that becomes a bond. And it's now worth all the good faith and credit from the United States or Canada. So I just wanted to share that with you people. Do you guys catch how easy that is, that you just created money?
Well, yeah, you are the resource. People are the resource. Living things are the resource, aren't they?
That's right, exactly. And here's the kicker. So now, like for example, I was suing a cop a while back. It turned out I dropped the case. I never filed a certificate of readiness. And a long story short, this officer from here in Edmonton, his lawyers came back on me, trying to sue me for their court costs and time. So basically, what I did was I filled out a piece of paper. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms says that every Canadian has the right to enter in, remain in, and leave Canada. So me as a prior Canadian, I opted to leave Canada. So I drew that up. I don't file affidavits. I file asseverations. And so being that I'd left Canada, I'd put that on a piece of paper, just like if anybody writes, this is $100, and then I had it notarized, which became a security in the public side. I had it apostilled, which is the notary certificate of confirmation here in Canada at the Governor General's office. And when I went to court, I basically said to everybody, look, you're paid. They were trying to fight this and argue that and dispute this. And I said, what is there to dispute? Whether anybody's in the right or anybody's in the wrong, you guys are paid. And I want listeners to understand that, because what's happening is everybody's going to jail and they're not understanding that. I'll put it to you guys like this. When everybody signs up for a contract with the government, whether it be a driver's license, a social insurance number, all that stuff, basically what happens is they securitize that. They have a notary public working behind the registry counter, and she's a notary public, just like a bank teller, and she securitizes that. Now that's the public side, which is the paper side. The private side is the notary securitizing that. So basically what happens is, when people are looking to deal with the government or get out of a contract, the same way you signed up and they had it notarized, you must have it, you must unsign yourself, have it notarized, send them a notarized copy, and only then can you get out of their system. So I just want to point that out to people. People are sending off notices that aren't securitized by a notary public, nor are they apostilled, and they hit the government desk, and the government takes them and files them in the file 13, the garbage bin. But if you turn around and you let them know that, listen, this is securitized and this is apostilled, this covers any damages that government may incur from either losing you or anything for that matter. And that's how that was the de facto way of paying their system. And once people understand that, everybody's going to be free. They shouldn't have problems. Any questions on that?
Oh, wow. I've got a question. Now, or is it, I want to ask you whether I'm correct in the way I see the court system and everything like that. Basically, these guys that turn up to court that are acting, like the acting prosecutor, the presiding judge, and all these acting people that turn up, all they want is to be paid. Is that right?
Yes, thank you, Senator. That's all these people want is money. And if you're going to argue why you're not paying them, whether you're in the right or the wrong, walk in and say, here's a notarized, securitized document. It's been apostilled from the Governor General's office. You guys are paid. Love you guys. Much love and light. Always. Take care. Cheers, and get the hell out. And that's how simple this is, people. People are trying to run around, and they're doing all these things, and they're arguing, I'm not that name, you're not this, you're not that, I'm this. They have to stop that at all costs. Like you say, Sano, it all comes down to one word, money. I don't care if I'm dealing with you, I'm dealing with Kat, I'm dealing with Urbana. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to one word at the end of the day, and it's called money. And there's several words for money. Principal, interest. It's not whose best interest is this in. We're talking money. Interest means money. When you drop a note of dispute in a court, it becomes a banknote once that court clerk certifies it. So, you know, a prime example would be this. I'm suing Santo for $10. Santo files a note of dispute. The court clerk certifies it because she's a notary public, and he says, I don't owe you $10. So now, at the end of the day, no matter what happens at this court case, Santos has had $10 certified saying that he doesn't owe me, and he can just give me that certification, and I'm paid in full rate there. So people have to understand that. A note of dispute is worth money, and a regular note, whether it be like from a statement of claim, is worth. And we have a slight little problem with Catherine of Gaia right now, guys. And the bottom line is this. People are walking in, and I know Kate's playing the, hey, you know, you lose the name, you win the game, which is fine. But unfortunately, unless the court gets a bond, which is the apostilled certified notary public piece of paper, well, then there's no way of paying that. Kate will continue to sit there and basically rot behind bars because the judge is acting as the administrator to that account. And that's where the bond comes in, because you're saying, no, I'm the administrator of this account, and what you're construing here is fraud. And that's how you regain this jurisdiction, people. Otherwise, they'll just put a bench warrant and a warrant for your arrest, and you will get arrested. So it's just that simple.
So what options does Kate have tomorrow when she turns up in court without access to... well, anything, really. And Kate is obviously saying that she's a sovereign and doesn't do commerce. So no one's going to be able to go in there and talk for Kate, are they? Or she won't be, because a sovereign... Now, of course, this is from Kate's point of view. She's a free sovereign, whatever, all of that, and out of the system because of her Denique ultimatum document and the intent that went into. Sure, it wasn't notarized and apostilled, which is the process that you've just talked about. But in Kate's mind, it's been done because Kate says that you don't do commerce. Therefore, you just send them your notice of intent, and that should suffice. But in this case, obviously, it hasn't sufficed.
And Santo, I'll stop you right there. Here's the problem. When people go and they sign up for a birth certificate and a social insurance number, they're dealing in the private. But the minute they sign those papers, here, I'll rephrase this. People are always dealing in the public and the private. In the private would be no paperwork, right? In the public would mean paperwork. So there's two sides to the government. There's the private side without the paper, and then there's the public side with the paper. And what happens is, when Kate applied for a birth certificate or a social insurance number, the government certified that claim. Now, if you just drop a Denique and you don't have it certified, the government on the public side, the paper side, does not recognize that it has not been certificated. Therefore, they just continue to dismiss whatever it is you're throwing out there. So even though it can be construed as using their system, the way out of their system was they had to give you a remedy, and that remedy is to allow you to use their fake currency by drawing up a bond having it certificated, giving that to the Governor General's office for a certificate of confirmation of notary public, and that becomes your bond. That does not remove your sovereignty, folks. It does not remove you from the private at all. The public system had to allow you and the private a remedy, and that is your ticket out, is to say, here's a piece of paper. This is a bonded security. It's apostilled, and I love you. You're paid. Now, there is no dispute whatsoever because these courts go off money. And what's happening with Kate is, to my knowledge, Kate has a power of attorney, but the judge won't listen to that power of attorney because that power of attorney is not a bar member, which is a lawyer. So that's where the pickle starts. But that's where the court has to recognize certified apostille bonded claims. They have no choice. And when you do that, the judge can't administrate because you've become the administrator. And if you won't administrate for yourself, somebody else will. And that's why the judge is taking Kate to trial right now, because the judge is assuming that he or she is the administrator to that all caps name, which is fine. But Kate's no longer part of that all caps name, and that's where a certificate, apostilled, stating that, listen, this is the Denny K. I am not that name. I am not a piece of paper because I am the living flesh. And as the living flesh, that becomes your redemption. And once that becomes your redemption, then you've redeemed yourself, and whether the police are in the right or the wrong, or Kate's in the right or the wrong, you give them a bond and you say, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you.
Gotcha. Wow. It's never been clearer. It is never, ever been clearer. I've never understand these issues so clearly before.
Well, you know what, too, Sando? That's the problem. People like for example, I've got the Alberta Rules of Court on my desktop, okay? Like, if I want to file, I don't know, a 316 or a 315, which is a mandamus, a certiorari, a quo warranto, warrant to, by what authority is what you're saying, and a habeas corpus, have as a corpse, us, United States of America, you say, listen, you know, you guys, by what authority are you holding me here? And that's the thing. You have to let them know that, listen, I am not under your authority. I am not cited as Zen as being a citizenship. And once you give up that citizenship, you have to be allowed to use their remedy, which is drawing up bonds, and no, that doesn't put you into the public, people. It's still, but you submit that document to the court clerk, and now it becomes a matter of public record. Otherwise, anything said in court is all hearsay. It'll fall on deaf ears, and the judge is going to look at you like, are you done? Because you're dead. That all capital name is mine. So unless you can prove that you're not that all capital name, you know, then you take your administrative rights back. Otherwise, people, if you're a citizen and you're cited as then as being on a ship, the citizenship, you have no rights. So please stop walking in these courts going, oh, but, I have rights. No, you have privileges. Slaves have privileges. Rights come from the Creator, not from man, not from mammon, man-made law, not bylaws, rules, regs, stats, or acts. Your laws come from the Creator, natural law. And that's the Father, the Son, as Santo was saying earlier, S-U-N, and the Holy Spirit, S-P-E-A-R-I-T, because you're going to spirit and let them know that you're on the mark.
Wow.
On that note, can I interject something?
Hey, Ravana.
Hey, Santo. Hey, Hollywood.
Welcome. And yep.
Go. I just wanted to ask, are you guys familiar with letters of marque and reprisal?
Matters of what, sorry?
Letters of marque, M-A-R-Q-U-E.
Yeah.
A letter of marque is basically a letter from a reigning government to a private corporation to be basically a pirate, as long as they give a percentage of their take to the whoever issued the letter.
A mark of commerce, thank you. And you know what, Ravana? Here's the thing. For example, Okay, when I went down to my notary public and stated that, listen, I am not a Canadian. Every Canadian has the right to enter in, remain in, and leave Canada. That's their Charter of Rights and Freedoms for the corporate world, to guide the guys in the private to follow those bylaws. Now, I turned around and I said, I'm not a Canadian. I had that notarized. It became a security. I then went down to the Governor General's office here in Alberta to get a certificate of notary confirmation. That becomes my bond, and that is thanks to the good backing and full faith and credit of the private dominion of Canada. Okay? So basically, that becomes my marque. You follow me? So now, basically, I have the right to be a pirate in the private if I want. Not that I choose so. You know what I mean? But that answers that right in a nutshell. And that's what people have to understand. You can, I don't like the term, you can be a sovereign or whatever. You can be an I am that I am. You can be a couch potato. Call yourself what you will. But at the end of the day, when you go to the Governor General's office and you have that certificate, apostille, that becomes a bond. And that's the full faith and credit of the government of Canada or the United States of America. That is the Great Seal of Canada or the Great Seal of, say, Washington, D.C. for the District of Columbia, which is the private banking section. And when people understand that, that's how you work a court. You don't just dare walk into court, oh, well, I'm not the name, and then the judge will look at you and he'll say, well, if you're not that person, then why don't you go? So then you leave to find out that the police are calling you up to say, yeah, we got a warrant for your arrest. You want to turn yourself in? You want to admit to being the name? So the way you avoid that is you take your certificated, notarized, bonded apostille, you take it to the courthouse, you give them 3 certified copies, you always keep your original, the court clerk stamps it, and now that bond has been entered into a public court of record, which means that it's paper, and that piece of paper is your payment out of slavery for anything that may be construed, anything. So basically, whether the cop is in the right or the wrong, or you're in the right or the wrong, it doesn't matter, you're paid.
So, look, Mark, the remedy's pretty simple then, really. So why don't they just tell everybody to do it? Then they will be paid. Their system will continue in perpetuity because it works. It's a system that works. It's just not fair now because we don't know the remedy. You've got the remedy. That's it.
Yep.
The governments know. I mean, we can go around paying for everything with fiat currency, which is a great concept if it doesn't deprive you of your riches and wealth. So why don't they just tell everybody to go and do it, and then they can keep their frickin' system?
You know why, Santo? I'll tell you why. Because jail is a big business. You have to house the inmates. That costs money. Then you got to feed the inmates. You got to close the inmates. The whole 9 yards. You got to heat the facilities. That all costs money. And at the end of the day, the judge draws up a bond. And then when you get released, say you do 2 years less a day, then when you get released, that judge's bond matures. So that judge is making interest off that. If you just pay him for whatever charge he's saying, that's why they don't want you to know. Because jail is big business, and it's extra money. It's like icing on the cake for those guys. And that's my biggest thing is I'm seeing all these people, they're going into court, oh, well, I'm not that person, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. I walked in, the judge looked at me, he says, are you the officer? And he used the officer's name. I won't get into that right now. And I said, no, sir. And he says, what's your name? And I looked at him and I says, I am that I am, sir. Then the judge turned around and he goes, well, he says, if I don't get a name out of you, he says, if you're not this person or this individual, well, I'm going to put out a bench warrant for your arrest. And I looked at him and I said, sir, believe that you have the person on your desk. The person is the public piece of paper, which was the asseveration. Some people call them affidavits, but I asseverate, right? And so, long story short, I said to the judge, believe that you have the person on your desk, sir, which is a piece of paper. And then he looked at me and he goes, well, if you're not this person, and I looked at him and I held out my picture identification, which is a public security, which was notarized by a notary public. And I said, sir, if you would like to speak to that person, I said, he's in my hands right now. But I will have you know that that's a common law autograph trademark name. So if you'd like to talk to him, sir, here he is. And I was getting ready to give my piece of paper to the court. And then the judge, well, if you're not the, he says, are you the plaintiff? And I'm not the plaintiff. I looked at him and I said, the plaintiff. So then he's like, okay, well, we're going to proceed. And then they proceeded. And at the end of it, he's like, well, you do understand that you're going to owe X amount of dollars. And I looked at him and I said, no, sir. I says, I don't understand. I says, but I'll tell you what I do stand over. And I said, it's this. I says, I stand over the fact that I wish this court lots of luck in trying to obtain that from the private man. You have an apostille security sitting on your desk, sir, and all you have to do is endorse it. Then the judge looked at me and put his head down like, oh, fuck, here we go again. And that was that. And then finally I looked at the court and I says, I wish everybody much love and peace and respect out to all, always, cheers, and walked out. That was that. The sheriff didn't even show up for nothing because I'd sent the sheriff a bill to give to the judge if the judge wanted to do business with me. So the judge couldn't put out a warrant for my arrest because the asseveration, which is the piece of paper, which is the all capitals name, was sitting on his desk. And I told that judge, don't you be administrating my affairs because I'm not a citizen/slave on your ship. And the judge just had that, oh, God, look, here we go. You know, the judge even asked me, he said, do you know what laws I follow? And I said, yeah, the Alberta Rules of Court. And I said, how does that work, sir? Because you're in violation of them right now. There was a drop-dead rule in 2010. I said, here's you guys and the officer's lawyers, and they're all present. And I says, here they are trying to sue me in almost 2000, make a lawsuit in 2012. I said, that's fraud, sir. I says, you have a security sitting on your desk, flip it over, got to run, bye. And that was that.
Wow.
So all these people running around and, oh, well, I'm the name, or I'm not the name, or who gives a rat's ass? The bottom line is, people, when the police pull you over, try to give them a certified piece of ID just to let them know who you are, what your address is, and all that other stuff, but have it securitized by a notary public, have it apostilled, and then when the cop goes, well, what's your name? What's your name? You give them a piece of paper. Are you this person? Well, if you want to talk to that person, you're holding them in your hand, sir. Talk to him and let me know how that goes with that piece of paper, and I'll talk to you later. And then the cop will say, well, you have the right to remain silent, and anything you can say will be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand this? And you say, no, sir, do not understand. And then eventually, probably 72 hours later, depending on the severity, unless you're being charged for an indictable crime or your prior records history, they'll let you go. And then they'll say, oh, well, you got to take this certificate because you got to come to court now. And that's where you go to court with a bonded apostille saying, listen, I'm not that name. I'm the administrator of my own affairs, so back off, and what do you want? You're paid. And that's it. That's all. All these people, they want to fight, and I'm telling you now, people, if you want to fight, everything you do to fight weakens you. So if you want to fight, you're going to be a loser with a capital L on your forehead. So no fighting. Love. Oh, how much is that? Oh, well, you endorse that, sir. Love you. Bye. And that's what we have to do for Kate, people. I'm tired of all these mindless discussions. Oh, jurisdiction this, oh, that, oh, names. Oh, no. Give them a freaking bond and say, buddy, you're paid for any damages that may have been caused to you or even me, and that's it. That's the remedy, folks. And if you're a citizen on the ship, you have no rights, only privileges. And that's why the judge right now is turning around and saying, oh, well, you know, we're going to this trial with Kate there, it's going to trial without Kate's permission, because until that judge receives certified apostille documentation proving that Kate is not that name, well, Kate's going to sit where she is, and that's unfortunate. So we have to wake up, people, and get this going.
Is there any way of helping Kate then?
Yes, there sure is. I'll be honest with you, Santo. I should have hopped in 3-4 weeks ago when Kate first got arrested, but I was under the assumption things might be all right. Kate's in good hands, but now I'm under the assumption Kate's not in good hands, and it's time for the big boys to step up.
Yep. Yep.
And here I am, all these freemen out there. Oh yeah, they're all cool when they're trying to be free in that. But let me tell you, when one of their buddies goes to jail, then nobody's around for miles. Or they're all talking shit, but they're not doing anything. And you know, and where I come from, actions speak louder than words. Silence is gold, as silver is speech, but silence is golden. Actions speak louder than words. And a apostilled certified copy sitting on that judge's desk to say, Your Honor, I'm not that name, will suffice. Yeah. And if the judge wants to, well, you're going to owe the court $10,000 for your time, well, you've got an apostilled certificated banknote sitting on your desk. Flip it over and endorse it like the good little public administrator that you're supposed to be. Otherwise, what you're construing, sir, is fraud. And you tell that to the judge.
Yeah. You know, it's correct me if I'm wrong, but here we have a system that they're running. It's completely illegal because, for a start, they're all members of the bar, which is a foreign agency doing business on a foreign land, foreign soil. And so they've got this system whereby if you go in and put life to their spellbound, cursed papers, because they send it to you through the mail system and you receive a summons and you turn up in court, their system, they're already indicating to you and signaling to you that they are running all of the crime in the world. So if you want to go to their ship where they do this crime and participate in it, you better know what you're doing. Yeah. Because they've already, I mean, I suppose they think they're in on it because they've already told us. They've already told us that it's all, you know, just bits of paper that have no value at all unless you give it value.
That's right. And look at the word Santo, criminal, crime in all. You almost say it backwards, all in crime, but criminal, crime in all. And people have to wake up that these lawyers, the Bible told us, do not go shaking hands, do not go striking hands with these people. They're liars. You take the A out of lawyers and you got liars. And it's criminal, crime in all. And obviously there's crime in all when these courts are pulling in big bucks. The court is just a bank, folks, and that's all they're looking for is your money. It's like going to court. You know, you fill in your asseveration, and basically, you, like I say, once it's bonded, notarized, apostilled, all that stuff, then you can ask questions like, listen, I'm the administrator. That all capital name is your property, so why don't you fuck off and look after your property and leave me out of this? And you can ask the judge in your bonded papers too. You can say, are you the presiding judge? You know, well, yeah, I'm the presiding judge. Oh, so you've already presided? This is prejudicial, sir? Is this what you're leading me to believe? Right? And that doesn't put you into their jurisdiction. It's like saying, who's the real party in interest here? Because the Crown Corporation, the bar is dead. It's just a piece of paper. Well, if nobody's suing me, it's like going to court and somebody's saying, then the judge says, I say, well, who's the real party in interest? And the judge goes, oh, well, the Queen is. And I say, okay, so you're telling me I have the right to face my adversary. I want to face the Queen then. Oh, well, that's not going to happen. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I have the right to face my adversary. And if the Crown is a dead piece of paper, which is a dead corpse-oration, corpse or ate, and that corpse did eat, well, then I have the right to face that piece of paper. And obviously, if that piece of paper can't adverse, what the hell are we doing here? It's like saying, who's the real party in interest? Nobody, no fraudulent lawyer or judge in the right frame of mind is going to jump up and go, I'm a party to the fraud. And that's what we have to do, people. We have to lay on these people and bung up their court systems. And just because you file an asseveration, so long as it's been apostilled and notarized and it's a security, you have not entered their system. You are just letting their system know. It'd be no different than Santo owing me $100 and me registering a lien on Santo. I registered the lien in a public facility, say like a courthouse, but at the end of the day, we have to go after the flesh to get the $100. And that's called the public and the private.
So, can I just ask, with this notary thing, because I've got a little thing about notaries. No matter what anybody who has studied the subject of law or whatever will tell me, they're as corrupt and as criminal as the rest of them. They work for the same big firm, if you like, the same business. And when I had a little conversation with a notary, just interested about getting a few of my own documents sealed, if you like, just interested, my own research. I didn't have the right documentation for them, i.e. driving licence, passport. Wouldn't have one if you paid me, okay? That's firstly. And the document I did have was a national insurance card, and no, sorry, not a national insurance card, a birth certificate is what I have. That's all I have. I keep my birth certificate and will always keep it, probably for historical. I've kind of toyed with the idea a few times of not keeping my birth certificate for a number of reasons, but I think they'd love me to send the birth certificate back from where it is right now, because it's part of their history and they would really like to destroy it, as far as I'm concerned, to get rid of it like they do libraries and all other artefacts of his story that he doesn't want you to see. And with that, the notary was going to charge me an extortionate amount more than anybody who had person identification. Okay? So for me, notaries are not doing any job for the people, and I feel that it is as legitimate in any world, be it the private or legal, to have at least three good men as witnesses, as it were. So what do you think about that, Hollywood?
No, Kat, because here's where you go wrong. When you sign up for a license, the government notarizes it. It becomes a security. The government on the public side deals with securities. So if you're just having three private witnesses, which is Deuteronomy, right? You know, at the most there are two or three, the matter is established. But the bottom line is, in the government system, you have to have it notarized, securitized, and apostilled to say, listen, I joined your government, now I'm leaving your government. And something else I would like to say about notaries is, like lawyers. There's a lot of, you take the A out of lawyer and you got liars. There's a lot of liars out there. There's a lot of bad notaries too. But I've met some notaries where they were like, buddy, I'm going to notarize your stuff just because I want to see where you're going to go and what you're going to do with this, because we need more people like you. And they were not charging me. I've had notaries give me papers for free, seal my papers.
Well, that's lovely,
So,
but I can tell you where I live, in the county that I live in, which is a whole county, there is not one notary that will deal with you if you don't have what he wants or she wants. And if you don't have that, then they're going to make it extremely expensive for you. So the ordinary man or woman wouldn't be able to afford it anyway. And if they had any sense, they wouldn't be paying for it, really. And this is just my view, Hollywood. This is how I feel. I don't feel that I have to bow down to them in any way, shape or form. I don't want to work in commerce with them. I have absolutely nothing to say to them. I've written thousands and thousands of letters to every high authority or person, high authority in the public world in this country, including the Queen, the Prime Minister, the Home Office, the Health Office, all of them. And I can tell you now, people, whether you have a notary or not, it is documented now that notaries are not standing to their contracts that they've had with you, Hollywood. They're actually bowing down. Oh, well, I can't really carry on here because they tell me not to. And that's actually happening, Hollywood. So your notary being such a secure thing, from my own experience, and this is real life experience from myself and others that I know have had dealings with them, and from articles that I've read, if you look up on the internet, you will find loads of articles saying that the notaries are not able to stand firm in court. The court are still not listening to the notary. So either way, I think when you're dealing with that world, it's their game and they will play it exactly how they want to, no matter what security within you, not security as in the legal security, but the security that you feel you have within, with any piece in their game. I think you're standing on rocky foundations. That's my view, Hollywood.
But Kat, know thyself, okay? This is a big problem here. Whether your notary stands back, let me tell you a little something, okay? Basically what a notary public is, they are a federal district Supreme Court judge. And when they notarize something and they securitize it, it has become a federal district Supreme Court order. So whether I don't need a notary to stand in court and back me up, because I'll tell the judge flat out, what you're construing here is fraud. You have a certificate sitting on your desk, you flip it over like the good little public trustee that you are, and you endorse it, and have a good day. I never got a bill from the court, I never got nothing, and as a matter of fact, I just lost a 32nd degree Mason who was my notary because he was doing all this for me. So the thing is, when I can send out all the notices I want in the private, so I get nothing securitized by a notary public. They're just notices in the private. The government, the public side of the government, does deal with securities. If it's not a security, they won't deal with it. I had to literally run my security through the Court of Queen's Bench. I'm probably the only one I've ever known in the world to walk into the Court of Queen's Bench and say, you know what, I am not your slave on your ship. And then he started, oh, well, hey, buddy, you have a security sitting on your desk. These are your rules, not mine, so you follow them. And the bottom line is, people say, yeah, well, I don't need a notary, I should just have 3 witnesses. But again, the government dealt with securities when you signed on for a driver's license. And now all of a sudden you're going to say, well, I'm going to leave, but I'm not going to give you a security back. You have to. And okay. I know.
If I can just answer, I don't have a driving license and I never have, so I've never registered for a driving license. That's first and foremost. That may be a general thing, but, you know, just to put the record straight with me. And
no, but you have a birth certificate, right?
Sorry, I have a birth certificate because my mum gave it to me. Yeah.
That's right. And when your mom signed that over, the government securitized that. That's why it's called a certificate. And when people leave the government, they must certificate the fact that they are leaving the government. Just like the government gave you a birth certificate, you give them a certificate back saying, I'm not that birth certificate. This is a certificate. Their certificated system can only recognize the certificate. And that's why when these people are going into courts and they're going, oh, well, I'm not that name and I'll sue you and all this stuff, they're talking shit and nonsense for nothing. When all they have to do is say, you know what, whether I'm in the right or the wrong and you're in the right or the wrong, I love you. Let me pay you. Let me pay you. Right? Well, instead, people want to fight and they want to argue, and I don't care what happens. Right now, Kate is proof that because they don't have certificated claims, to my knowledge, that's why Kate is still sitting in jail.
Well, if I can say this, it's not that I'm going against everything you're saying. I can only speak from my experiences in life, and my house was also stolen. Many people that know me know the whole story. I won't bore people with it. Very much a similar situation to Kate. If not in the beginning, it was more or less identical. But anyway, moving swiftly forward, this was a corrupt corporation that I was dealing with that's got like 30,000 houses, and, you know, the law is on their side, the legal ways are on their side, it would seem. And anyway, so to cut a long story short, none of my documentation has ever been notarized because I don't trust that it's going to pass the go part of the board. But that's my view also. And it was proven, Hollywood, that these people committed a criminal act that has been seen by the authorities in this town, that they broke the law, that I did not make myself intentionally homeless, which means I was illegally evicted. So my paperwork actually was very much recognised, and I didn't go on about sovereigns or anything else. I told them that I'm natural, and I do not wish to be seen as an artificial being, because I'm flesh and blood, I'm real, I'm natural, and my attitude was one of grace. one of kindness to these people, hoping that they would see, above all, that natural law is what stands. It's not about legal and lawful, it's about right and wrong. This was wrong, and I'd already put things to them. I hadn't refused anything. All I wanted was proof of claim. Now, I had my own paperwork in place, witnessed, initialed, if you like, by 3 people. And my paperwork was recognised without a notary. So, you know, I think it's a matter of what works for who. So I'm not saying a notary is right or wrong.
But Kat, here's where I want to stop you, okay? Imagine if you'd went and saw a notary public, had that securitized, and had it apostilled, and said, you know what, this house is paid in full. Then what could they have said?
Well, no, my house wasn't paid in full. I was renting it. So I was dealing with a bit of a bigger force, if you like.
But that's what I'm saying, okay? For example, today I go over to your house, Kat, and I trip over your doorstep. Rather than suing you, I've got a bond. It protects you. It protects me. The problem I'm seeing, and I've been to several court cases, numerous court cases. I've helped keep people out of jail, the whole 9 yards. I've minimalized the amount of damage that was going to come to these people, like them going to jail. And then to top it off, it's their system. If they want fake, phony pieces of paper, oblige them, if that's all it takes. You know.
Why should I oblige them? Why should I say pay him? Why? For what?
Because
what are they doing? If they're invisible, if they're a legal fiction, they're invisible. They don't exist. Then what am I playing to? What am I listening to? What am I paying? I don't understand. If it's not really there, and it shouldn't really be there, and what they're doing they shouldn't be doing, I don't see why I should comply to that. I comply to what I know to be good, true, real, and the best for all of us and each individual, because my view is there is no real thing, no such thing as a group. It's just a lot of individuals, the same as there is no such thing as a forest. There is just a lot of trees.
Forgive us our debts as we forgive those who debt against us. Forgiveness is a key word, very key. And if you can't forgive, then you can't forget. And to forget means to be free. And this is my problem in life, is people are all hanging on to all sorts of baggage, whether they're right or wrong. It's like if there's so many rocks in my way and they're obstacles, why try to move the rocks when I can just walk around them?
Well, sorry, but Hollywood, why would I want to forget an experience that's going to aid my intellectual growth, which is going to help me to flourish as the flower that I'm meant to be? I don't want to forget that. And forgive. I mean, you like playing with words, right? So give for what reason? Giving before what happens? When it's for something, that means that I am for it, and not against it. So forgive in my world, Hollywood, it doesn't exist. I don't look at the word forgiveness. I look at respect, moving forward, compassion. As I was speaking about Obama there even, people need to see if it's the man that they hate, or is it the deed, or what he's involved with, or what he's done that they hate, because I think there's a lot of mixed up feelings. So I truly do know thyself, and I govern thine own mind, and I know that no thing in excess is where we're meant to be, and we're not supposed to be feeding the things that are, that are helping us to diminish. So therefore, to know thyself is to know that their ways should not be encouraged in any way, shape or form, and I stand where I stand, and dealing with it the way I deal with it. But as far as notaries are concerned, my paperwork was seen exactly the same as any other piece of paperwork in that legal world. I can promise you that.
I guarantee you, Kat, if you and I ever went to jail, I'd be out first. I guarantee it, because that is their security. That is your sovereign bridge to cross into their fake de facto corporate world. And I agree with you, Kat. It's wrong to promote this, but at the same time, when somebody's sitting in jail, I think their freedom's a little more important than whether I'm right or wrong by submitting a certified apostilled piece of paper. Their freedom
Well, of course, no,
is
yeah. If you're talking
priority.
about Kate in this specific instance,
No, but
then
anybody,
I was
anybody in
speaking
that
more
matter.
on a general thing with everybody. But if you feel
No,
you have the key to her jail cell and to get her out, then I would be there myself tomorrow, walking in saying, who do you people think you are, and take a look at this and hand this woman
then we're being
over to
adversarial.
me.
And then we're being adversarial, and they will adverse, and they'll probably call a sheriff over, and they'll tase us, and then they'll throw us in jail. We
Oh,
do
sorry,
not
I must have got that wrong. I actually thought you said you were going to go and help her, and you should have done 3 weeks ago or something, so I must have got that wrong, sorry.
Yes. As soon as I get some numbers, I'm on this. I'm just waiting to get some numbers, and then I'm going to physically try to talk to Kate myself.
Oh, okay, so, right, okay.
This is my bottom line is this. I see all these people running around, they're going to court, they're losing houses, they're losing this, they're losing that, when there's no need, and all we have to do, whether we approve of their fraud and theft and stealing and all that, whether we approve of it is irrelevant. Forgive us our debts as we forgive those who debt against us. And
I'm sorry, I don't actually think that it's irrelevant whether we think something is right or wrong, and just go along with it, because that might be the easiest way to do something. I may well just be of a totally different mind frame, but it is very relevant whether I think something is criminal, fraudulent, and very, very bad for the people and all living beings on the planet. I think that's extremely relevant.
Let me play the devil's advocate, okay? Bottom line is you're going to do 20 years in jail, but you're not going to play into their system whatsoever, but you're going to do 20 years in jail. I would think that if we gave them a bullshit piece of de facto paper, that they could take that paper and let you out so that you can spend time with your kids. You have to, it's not a matter of who won the war, but who's going to win the battle. We have to look at the bigger picture. Like my mother used to say, you may not have won the war, but you won the battle. And that battle could mean that Kate is out with her kids. I don't care whether these fraudulent people are creating 10 times derivatives off that apostilled bond. I couldn't care less. The bottom line is, I'd like to see Kate back with her kids.
So would I.
And
absolutely.
I don't care who's right or wrong.
Ravana, are you still there?
Oh, Ravana flew the coop.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm still here, just listening to you guys.
Okay, and what are your thoughts, mate? Because I know you deal with this subject a lot, and you're in the chat rooms and everything like that. Any thoughts?
Well, that's kind of why I brought up the letter of marque earlier. That's something that I just came across, and it explains a big part of what's going on. The letter of marque was issued to a private corporation to act as an agent for profit of the Queen or the government. And the letter of marques were outlawed at the Treaty of Paris in 1851, except for the United States, and except for using them against their own people. So the reason that you're considered a corporation is because it can only be used against a corporation. The reason that everything is at admiralty law is because it can only be used against a vessel at sea. It can also only be used by a declared enemy. Now, the United States flag with the horizontal stripes is the war flag of the United States. It's not the peace flag. So anyone flying a United States flag is showing that they're at war. So if you're a corporation and you are on the highway / waterway under maritime law, you are at sea, and you're a corporation because you're using the capital letter name. So therefore, all you have to do, you have to be those three things for them to be able to do that. If you can prove that you are not any one of those things, they cannot subject you to their law. Now, the reason that the cops get away with doing this is because their badge represents the letter of marque issued to their agency.
So let me stop you right there, Ravana. This is what I'm telling people. Why not get your marque out there? listen, you don't want me. You want that all capital name. If that's your property, you have it. You leave me alone. And that's what these securities do. They tell them that, listen, I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is. And I wish this corporate, I'm all caps, I'm not all caps. Who cares? The bottom line is you want to insure yourself. On the road of life, you want to insure yourself. And that's what the apostille certified notary bond is. It's your insurance. I even have a call with the Minister of Transportation office here in Alberta where I'm like, well, what do you guys do for money? Oh, we drop bonds, he says. It's like, oh, you think? So meanwhile, if you have any problems with them, they'll just pay you with some fake paper money. So why not just pay them back? All these people, oh, I'm not that name, I'm that name, I'm a cap, I'm not a cap. Who cares? Give them their fake money. Let's get our friends out of jail. Let's stick together in droves. And that's the problem with all these authorities. They're running around segregating us. They're separating us. And even Kate right now, they have no authority over Kate. But let me tell you something. When you're in jail, they got all the authority in the world. So what are we going to do to bust out of that authority? We have to. Unfortunately, Kate's in their system and is in a system that we don't want to play in. But because Kate is on their ship, we have to step onto their ship and say, listen, this is an asseveration. You're paid outright. What's your claim now? Oh, you ain't got one. And when people realize that, I mean, I know I sound like the devil's advocate, but we just have to get off this who's who and who's what. Who gives a shit? The bottom line is you're paid. You know, whether I agree in paying these people or not, hey, if we can pay, and then say the judge turns around for Kate and says, oh, we're not letting them out. Well, no judge with a right brain in their head is going to want to touch that case afterwards, and that'll bring liability on the judge who is not releasing Kate right now. And another problem that we do have with Kate is Kate did violate, whether Kate was in the wrong, they're stating that Kate violated a common law right, which was damage, and supposedly they broke into that place. Now, that's a hard pill to swallow, and that's a hard pill to get around, but the bottom line is, if I get drunk and I fall on top of your picnic table, your coffee table, and I break it, at the end of the day, can I pay for it? And that's all it comes down to. We must be on the ball, and we must pay these people. It's like the cop, okay? This is exactly how I operate business. The cop comes up to you guys and says, oh, you're doing 60 in a 50 zone there. Well, that's $200, and if you don't pay this, I'll see you in court. So the cop gives you a certified copy. A copy. Not even certified. He certifies the original, gives you a copy. So this is what I'm saying, okay? The cop is operating in the private, but what he's doing is he's going to the courthouse and he's registering a lien in the public, which is the piece of paper to state that you owe them money in the private. And this is what we have to do. You drop your security, just like the cop. It's no different. I drop my security and I say, oh, well, in case I cause you any problems, here you go. Here's a bonded, securitized apostille. You're paid. And that ends that. And we just have to, all these people, they're, oh, don't do this and don't do that. It's enough to drive me up the wall. I'm going to do a little thing on a blackboard as soon as I'm in front of a group, and I'm going to show people. It's like at the beginning of the conversation. I write on a piece of paper, this is $100. I go see my notary. Oh, bam, it's securitized. Oh, it's physically $100. It's no different than the credit Visa companies selling delinquent payments to another creditor so they can try to recollect on this account. And that's all the cop is doing too. If you're not paying him, you'll give the bill to the Crown, and the Crown's coming after you. But the bottom line is, if all they want is just money, give them their money, and let's get the hell out of their system. And the faster people know how to give these courts their money, the faster we will be free. And then the courts will go, oh, our gig is up. I guess we're not making millions like we used to off the labor, off the labor and the hard sweat coming off people's backs. And when we do that, their system, it's done. It's garbage. And they know it. We know
it. Yeah.
You know, and Santo, sorry, I'll get you in here in a second. And you know that old expression, people? Know thyself? Anybody see that video on pi, the alphabet called pi? And it shows all the numerics, all the Hebraic numerals on both hands, and they're a mirror image of each other. And just like Santo says, and what does it say at the end of the day? To know, to now know, or to know now. Either way, and the bottom line is, to know thyself, and then you can go in, and only then can you command people to do things right, because you know, and getting back to that pi in the alphabet, the hands tell you to be the star that you are, be a son of God, and we've been running around like idiots and not sons of God, not like the very bright stars that we should be. And it's time we start acting as stars, and whether we're right or wrong or not, we assume responsibility for our actions, and then once we do that, we're the shining bright stars, like Santos says. Like he says, that's why they call kids youngsters, young stars. We're ether.
Yeah. So I guess they're also waiting around for us to grow up, mature, become enlightened, and act honourably and pay them, because the system is there. Until the system falls, it's there, right? And that's what they're waiting, I guess, for. They're waiting for us to work out the system, because then you're not incompetent, and they can't treat you as an incompetent. And just pay them there, have something prepared, your certified claim, so that should you cause damage in the private, you're able to pay for it. And that's all they want you to do, is grow up and do that.
That's right, and in the public too, the private or the public or both, right? How do you people see people? You know, let's look at a judge, for example. Okay, a judge has immunity, so he's immune to anything. So that tells you one thing right off the hop: he's running in the private. But what did that judge do? He had the approval, had a certificate certified, and then had it recertified by the Governor General's office, which is the apostille, and that's how that judge got his immunity. And we can do the same. We're no different. You can even operate in the public technically and still have immunity if you want, right? How else does the judge sit on the bench? What does he get paid in? De facto notes or gold? Either way, he's getting paid in something. And that's the greatest fraud of all time. These people sit in the private, make it look like they're working in the public. We'll pay them with fake de facto notes like lawyers, and then they'll turn around and they'll buy silver on the private side. And that's the biggest scam right there. And once people realize that, hey, you can be a judge. I am a common law justice. I'm a private banker. I'm the private postmaster. And my laws come from the Creator, God's law. That's the highest trust law. The Father, the Son, S-U-N, is in the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You have to spirit and be on the bullseye, be on the mark, like Urbana was saying, the marquee, you know, and then you're good to go. Unfortunately, it's their system, yeah, but, you know, once we come to the conclusion that, hey, listen, in case the crap hits the fan, we can use their system to get out, well, they had to provide us a remedy, and that was in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the United States Constitution. Same with the Magna Carta, same thing.
Well,
yeah, look,
okay,
I guess...
Okay,
go,
sorry,
Ron.
go ahead.
Yep. You go, please.
Oh, I was going to say, the Magna Carta, the only problem I have with that is they basically held a sword to his throat and said, sign this. Because the previous 2 times he had gone to the Pope and got himself absolved. And that's how they became part of the Vatican. And that's my problem with the Magna Carta. So contract signed under duress is no contract. Okay? And I mean, we do have to understand how they're doing it to us, because only by understanding how they did it to us can we get out from under it. I mean, I understand where you're coming from with, you know, just give them their security, give them their bond, and they'll go away. But we need to understand why we have to do that, or, you know, why we need to do that. And
because
I
go
ahead.
It's simple. People walked up to the government and they said, can I have a license? The government said, here's a driver's license, but we're going to securitize it. They securitized it. You got into their system with a security. You're going to leave their system. You get out of their system with a security. It's just that simple. You know, people are looking at things, oh, well, you know, he had a knife to my throat. That's not a contract. No, sorry, man. You could have died rather than signing that piece of paper. That is the Creator's, that is how we're loved by the Creator. We have choice. We might die by it, but we have that choice. And
Okay,
the same way the government.
So now
Yeah,
you're going by cor glaive, which is by right of the sword, which means if I have the might, I can take whatever I want, and I don't agree with that.
Well, isn't that what they've been doing, Ravanna?
Yeah,
Right, and
I
want
agree, Rav. So why would you allow them to continue the way they have been going in the manner that they have been going? And I do tend to agree with Rav here. Again, sorry, Rav.
Because, Kat, what are they going to do? They're pieces of paper. I'll grab an apostille, a certified. I got pieces of paper worth $100 trillion in my briefcase, stored at some different places. But the bottom line is, if I really wanted to, I could wipe my ass with that piece of paper.
Well, if I could say this, Hollywood, and I think Rav and Santos will maybe agree, I'm not too sure, but here in England anyway, the corporation known as England, the Treasury has been given the right by the people, as far as I'm aware, to print their own money. So they can print as much proper non-debt money, proper money, as this whole land desires. So I think if they were to do their job properly in the first place, that would be happening. And secondly, as far as I'm aware, is it not true to say that you cannot pay for anything? Nothing can be paid for. You can only make a payment effective or affect a payment. Is that correct? Or no?
Well, yeah, I don't want to get. I don't want to get too fancy with that, Kat. I don't know how to put it. All I know is this, okay? We the people, see, getting back to that banker situation in the private where they can print all the money, that's private people. Those are not people cited as Zen, as being citizens on the ship. And that's why they can do what they want, because the Charter or the Constitution or the Magna Carta allows them to run crazy in the private. And it's only theft if we agree to it. And we've been acting, we have not been acting as sons of God. You know, we have to act as sons of God, hold ourselves responsible and accountable, and then go up to these people at the end of the day and saying, listen, I don't like you taking my hard-earned dollars to go kill little brown kids overseas. And that's where the responsibility starts. But we liked our big screen TVs, and we were content eating our corn dogs sitting on our fat derrieres while all this is going on. So who promoted this? We're the ones at fault, because we promoted this system. The government said, you know what, you guys are acting like a bunch of children, and we're just going to take advantage of it. We said, okay, we like acting like children. We don't like responsibility. Right? And that's where we went wrong. When God was giving out brains, we thought he said trains, and we said, no thanks, we'll take the next one. Literally.
I understand your point there, Hollywood, but I wouldn't have a problem dealing with the system if the system wasn't so bloody corrupt. And I understand that most of it is our own fault because we've not paid attention to what they've been doing. And they've subverted the language, and they've done everything else to try and keep us not informed so that we don't understand what's going on. And that is my main problem with them. I simply do not want to deal with them at all.
No, but Ravanna, we're all people. And what happens? What happens if, say, you and the government go into contact tomorrow, and the government's making claims? And say they're all false accusations, right? It's all false accusatory crap. The bottom line is, are you ready to acknowledge that before that happens? And if not, what? Acknowledge the fact that you have a disagreement. And whether you're right or wrong, how are you going to fix that agreement to make it right? And here's the problem. Everybody's been running around with all these fancy, beautiful opinions, and I'll tell you, I don't care what anybody says. Opinions are like assholes, and everybody's got one. I do not want to opine. You know, even back to the spell, go spell, the gospel. You know, the book said, you know, hey, we're going to talk in parables here. Par able, are you able to talk at par? You know, and people forgot how to talk at par, and we screwed ourselves. And now it's time to take ourselves out of this mess on this hurtling Earth ship that we call Earth, this spaceship that we call Earth, and it's time to take responsibility. And unfortunately, whether I agree with these people or not, if a simple piece of paper can help keep my friends out of jail, I'm in. I'm in, because my friends' kids are more important than some jail hanging on to one of their clients and then making more money because they're staying in the Casa jail.
I agree with that part of it, but like I said, I just simply do not want to deal with a system that's that bloody corrupt. You know, that's
right. That's right, Ravanna. And the minute everybody starts, the way they got into the system, can I have a license? The government said, sure you can, sign here, and then we're going to notarize it. You just created a bond. So you have to do the same thing. You have to say to the government back, the way I came into that system and you certified that license, here's a certificate stating that I'm uncertifying your certificate with my certificate. Did you notice my notice noticing your notice? Right?
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, right?
And then you collapse their fictitious bonds. And when you collapse that fictitious license that they drew a bond up for millions of dollars, like the Canadian Ownership Act, they're starting off new slaves, babies, at $8 million a pop if they're males. It says right in the Canadian Ownership Determination Act. So it's up to us to stop signing these fictitious bonds, and if we go to court, give them a bond. But otherwise, get rid of this stuff, and they're going to fall flat on their face faster than the corporate whores that they are. And it's up to us to bring about this change. And we can't go, oh, well, this is what's right with the system and this is what's wrong. No, this is what I don't like. How am I going to address that today? And that's how we address it. You certified me coming into the system, I'm certifying me going out. Oh, was there any damage caused to the officer? Oh, here, let that piece of paper pay for anything your pretty little fraudulent heart would like. The same thing as a cop. He draws up, he says you're doing 60 in a 50 zone. He writes that down on a piece of paper, and the cop is a notary public. And then he certifies it. And he says, I do verbally believe and certify that whatever said on this ticket is to be correct and true to my knowledge. So
Hey,
if
wait
he's
a minute.
certifying his own claim, why wouldn't you run around certifying your own claim that you're not even on a ship? And who gives him the authority to give you a $200 ticket for doing 60 in a 50 zone? Wouldn't that make sense?
Well, hang on. No, hang on, Mark. Well, if he's being a policeman and a public servant and a notary at the same time, well, then surely we can.
That's right, and that's exactly what I'm saying,
Santo.
No, but I mean without going to the notary, without having to go to the notary, because the cop's made himself a notary.
Yes, but their public system, this is the thing, Santo. It's clear cut and dry. When you sign up for that license, they certificate it. You want to get rid of your license, you better have it certificated. Otherwise, you're just sending notices in the private. It'll be recognized on the private side, but it won't be recognized in the public side when you're in jail. The public side deals with papers, and that's called courthouses. And the courthouse is a vehicle. And just like you would get into it with your car, you must turn the key. You have to tell the car, I'm going to take a left today. Okay, I'm going to take a right. Let's take a right. That's what this bonded apostille does. It tells the court, you're driving it, saying, what authority do you have, Mr. Administrator, Mr. Judge? Oh, you have none. And this is, you're just using their system to recognize your solidarity. That's all you're doing, big guy.
It's unfair. It's very unfair. I mean, the mafia comes knocking on your door, imposes their services on you. You say, oh, I don't need your services. And they say, oh, no, it's going to cost you $1,000 a month. And we're going to give it to you. And pretty much no remedies, or there's got to be a remedy. You pull out a gun and shoot him in the head, and and that fixes that. He doesn't come a calling anymore. But you know, you don't want to do that, and there's no remedy. And it's absolutely unfair. It's like they say, well, if you want a remedy, you have to use our system, and otherwise we won't acknowledge you're saying no to us.
That's right. It's a tort, Santo. When anything like this occurs, it's a tort, and people might think that's something that happens at school. Probably it is, but it means wrong. Tort law is wrong, and tort law very much stands in the eyes of the legal people. So they know what a tort is, and to, you know, be extortionate by, you know, do this or else, you know, that's taught. It's wrong.
Well, tort means in error, doesn't it, in French? I mean, if you're in the wrong, they say tu as tort. So are you saying that they are, my God, they're using error law?
Absolutely. They can't be using the right law, can they? Because it's not even law. It's legal statutes and acts. And like I've said many times to many people, the three letters ACT is advanced corporation tax, which means the shareholders get their money early. So why on earth we would scramble to get these shareholders their money early and keep the shareholders happy so the business can continue? And please, Hollywood, don't think for one moment I wouldn't love to wave a magic wand for Kate right now and have her home. And if you're specifically talking about Kate and you will do anything you can for Kate, that's fair enough. But what I speak, I'm sure Santo and Rav are speaking of, is the more general, the whole picture, the bigger picture for everyone, and not just one individual at this point. If you can see that I am totally respectful of Kate's position at the moment and wouldn't belittle that in any way. I have great love for Kate, and my thoughts and heart have always been with her.
And that's my only pickle, Kat, is this, okay? Kate's in a system where Kate's saying, I'm not part of your system. And the system's saying, no, you're part of it. That's why you're going to stay in jail. Okay? So already we have a conflict of interest here. And that's simple. There's always going to be a conflict of interest, but how can we resolve that? And again, whether we're right or wrong, we have to look at the big picture, and that bonded apostille probably is the magic wand. It's dark magic that we don't want to deal with, but if that gets our friend out, well, so be it. Right?
So, Mark,
I send out... Yeah, sorry, Sano, shoot.
Yeah, so, all right, tomorrow's Kate's case. What can... See, Kate can't get any documents notarized and apostilled.
That's right.
She will never have access to these.
That's right, but I do. There's nothing stopping me, Santo, if you were in... well, we'll stick with Kate right now. Kate's in a Canadian jail, okay? There is nothing stopping me on the private side from going to a notary, filing some papers, going to the Governor General's office, and shipping those papers to the court in Guelph, and shipping those papers to the Governor General of Ontario. Then once the Governor General of Ontario gets that sweet little piece of paper saying you're paid, what's the problem now? You should be releasing, buddy. Then we're putting the pressure on the right people. And Kate can be in jail. That does not stop me from working my magic. I could walk in for you, Ravanna, Cat, anybody off the street and file paperwork for you, so long as I don't show up to represent you in court. I cannot represent a fiction that is not mine. That's fraud. People go to jail for that. And that's why Kate simply, we could probably file these documents. It doesn't help Kate tomorrow in court, but it sure can help for the next court date. The judge is already running an ex parte, like Kate's dead. They're not even hearing a word Kate's saying, and they're putting Kate on trial. So if you're not even hearing a word she's saying, and you're putting her on trial, let's file the papers so they do hear what she has to say, which is, listen, I'm not your corporate whore. I'm not your slave. And here's a bond, and you've been paid. And we send that to the Governor General's office, and that becomes a certiorari because it's been certified. It becomes a quo warranto by what authority? A mandamus and a habeas corpus. Listen, you got the wrong corpse. I'm not your corpse. I'm not dead. I'm alive.
What does habeas corpus mean? What does it mean, that word, habeas?
Well, your habeas corpus is when the police originally arrest you and they're claiming that, I don't know, you're doing 60 in a 50 zone or whatever you're doing, or you're charged for a break and enter. Your habeas corpus is basically the right to remain innocent before proven guilty. And you have the right to say, by what authority are you holding me? You don't have the authority. And that goes to the gaoler, the jailhouse, that goes to the gaoler, that goes to the sheriffs, that goes from the Governor General to say, listen, I had as a corpse, but I am not your corpse. I am not your piece of paper. So let me go. And the court's just a vehicle, Santa. We have to drive it. You want to start the court, you got to get, it's like the cop. The cop starts the court by, you were doing 60 in a 50 zone, and he files a lien. So the cop pulls you over in the public, gives you a ticket in the, cop pulls you over in the private, in the flesh, gives you a ticket in the flesh, but registers that piece of paper in the public. And that's all you're doing. You're registering something in the public to say, listen, I'm not your piece of paper. I am the flesh. Let me go.
And the public is the system.
The piece of paper. The piece of paper.
Yeah, but it is the. But it's also the system, right?
That's right.
Right.
And the system is all paper, but it takes us as men to issue out these pieces of paper, and it's no different. The cop says you're doing 60 in a 50 zone. He certifies that piece of paper. The minute he certified that, that's money. And
yeah,
you come
it's
back
chunky.
It's
chunky,
right.
Isn't it?
That's right. And you come back and you certify saying with a piece of paper, well, here's a piece of paper with $200 on it to pay that piece of paper. Good day.
I mean, first of all, we've got, I think, something going on here also with Kate that isn't correct legally, and that is that it seems that they are treating her, now we're going to the public world, we have man and woman, male and female, they're actually treating her as a man, as far as I can gather, when her legal documentation with name changes or whatever would state that she is no longer what they are saying she is. So I think, you know, that has to be taken into consideration as well, because the names that I've seen thrown and the way that they've spoken about her in different articles or whatever is pointing to that. So I think that would be a tort and a wrong also. So I think if you are going to help Hollywood, that also needs to be taken into consideration, because that's a massive blow, really, as far as I'm concerned,
well,
for anyone.
I think sorry, Kat. I think part of the problem there is, you know, Kate gave back basically all the documents and said, you know, these aren't mine, but she did not reestablish another person to act through for their system. So therefore, she's sitting outside of it with no voice. Is that about it, Hollywood?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Kate went into that system. They said, let us certificate this birth certificate for you. Kate had to go back and resubmit and say, this is a certificate, because the public can only recognize certificates. Otherwise, you're just saying, oh, well, I'm not Mark, I'm not Hollywood, I'm not this, and then the cop will pull me over, going, oh, well, you must be. We have no certificated proof from you. And that's what people have to understand. It all comes down to that certificate. I know Deuteronomy, at the mouth there 2 or 3, the matter shall be established. But in their fake corporate system, you need the certificate to cancel their certificates. And when everybody does that, then they'll go. Because I find it funny. So many people out there are having troubles with authorities. I don't seem to have any problems. I tell them flat out, hey, I think you're doing a good job. You know, I hope that officer's arresting a bum, not a bum, but arresting a murderer instead of trying to ticket some guy for doing 60 in a 50 zone. If we're going to make any change in this world, we have to re-educate the police, the lawyers. The lawyers aren't even aware of the scam that's going on. And we have to re-educate these people with love, not walking in being adversarial. And we must give them certificates. If we're going to say, listen, your birth certificate, I'm going to uncertificate it with my new certificate, uncertificating it. And honestly, Ravenna, I mean, when I bought those 2 stolen instruments by mistake, those guitars and that, the police showed up, oh, well, you know, technically we could charge you. I mean, it is a common law offense. I was in possession of 2 stolen instruments, but you know what? I don't think you're a thief, and, you know, do we really want to go there? No. And every time I've seen the police so far, they've been nothing but, like, respectful and nice. And that's how I want to be back to them. You know, even the last officer, I basically indemnified him. I even walked into court and I said, this whole matter, it's dropped. And then his lawyers were still starting to come after me. And it's like, you got my bill? I'll deal with you and you. But that officer, he was just a guy doing his job who was told by a higher authority to arrest me. So should I blame the officer? No, it's the higher authority. But nonetheless, we must re-educate everybody, and we must do this with love. We cannot go flying out there being adversarial. I hate you. I disagree with that. No, agree to disagree, but let's show them respect. And I truly believe, I've seen it in courts all the time. Buddy walked into court 2 weeks ago. Oh, are you that person? I'm not that person. And how dare you? The judge. Oh, okay, then get out of my court, please. Sheriff, escort that guy. You would have been better off saying, oh, so how's your day going, sir? Treating the judge like a human. You know what I mean? Because the judge, poor judge, he doesn't get the file on his desk till that morning. And here goes Buddy, all guns blazing. Yeah, I'm here to haul ass. And I'm taking down names and numbers, and I'm here to haul ass. No, you walk in, and, hey, how's everybody doing? Oh, yeah, oh, hey, oh, yeah, good, good. You know, we have to learn to be respectful. Even if we disagree to agree or agree to disagree, we have to be respectful. Then we are truly acting like the sons of God that we were meant to be, the true stars.
Mark, thank you for your beautiful comments and everything. And Kat, wonderful as always. Ravana, thank you so kindly. We've consumed all our time for today, but would you like to join me again on the 6th of April for the listeners who might have enjoyed your insights and understanding and depth of knowledge of law and the ways of this world? Mark, how would you like that? Have you got some time in a fortnight?
I can't promise anything, Santo, but I'll tell you what, if it's on this, the 26th, you said?
Yep, same show, TCT.
Okay, TCT 26. Okay, you know what?
No, the 6th of April. It's 2 weeks. It's in exactly the same time in a fortnight.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, Santo. Rather than promising something that I'm not sure, let me play it by ear. But if I can hop in, I'd love to.
Beautiful. All right, something for the listeners to look forward to. And next week I've got Barbara Young, who we had a couple of weeks ago. So, all right, thanks, listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and take care until next week. All the best, guys.